Today we continue with our class Shabbos Home, and this session and all of them should be also dedicated to Rifah Shlema, our dear Rabbi Yaron Reuven Shlita. His name is Yaron Ben Doris, also Yehudis Bas Noach, Ariela Ora Bas Anna, Yimim Rasi Rachel Bas Brindel, David Shlomo Ben Sandra. Also a quick release of our dear friend Moshe Shmuel Ben Pnina, and safety of our brothers and sisters in Eretz Israel and Iran. Right, very special people, Iranian Jews. Right. Okay. All right. So we continue today with our class Shabbos Home, and our topic is reaping. So it's chapter 17. We're on section 6, and our topic is Rabbinical prohibition of kotzer. Kotzer is reaping. So again, to remind us, reaping meaning that something that is attached to the ground. Okay. And it says, removing seeds that did not yet take root. Okay. The sage is prohibited to the removal of the seed that did not yet take root, provided they were inserted into soil in order to grow. Okay, that's that. There are no explanation here. Okay, so let's try to understand what it says. So meaning that they put the seeds, but they did not start growing. So the way I understand it was done before Shabbos, right? So meaning that we're not allowed to remove the seeds, right, on Shabbos that were planted before Shabbos. So if it fell something on the ground on Shabbos, there is no problem. It's actually you're obligated to remove the seeds. Okay. Next one. So meaning this seed is not attached to the ground. So it's not like you're reaping, like if you think about it. So but it falls under Rabbinical prohibition. But we can understand why. Because if we allow a person to do this, so next time they're going to take out the seeds. They actually start growing them, right? Okay. So B, dried out grass. Pulling out dried grass or vegetation is also forbidden, prohibited, which is understandable. Again, the same idea. If we allow this, people would not see any difference. They would pull the grass that is not dried. But and plus, I think it's going to create the hole in the ground. The way I understand, even when you pull out the dry one. So it's like a plowing, right? You prepare the hole in the ground, it's plowing. Okay. So next section, different types of plants. Items that grow from that which emanates from the ground. Items that grow from that which emanates from the ground. Okay. The Melachah of kotzer also applies to items that do not actually grow from the ground, such as mushrooms. Removing them from their place of growth violates the Melachah of kotzer. Similarly, the prohibition of kotzer applies to removing moss from the surface on which it grows, wet wood or rocks. Okay, so let's try to understand what it says here. Okay. So again, our like subtopic is items that grow from that which emanates from the ground. So meaning it's like double removed, right? As we learn in using of the tree, right? It's double removed, meaning that there is a tree, there is a hook, and there is something hanging on a hook, and your jacket, and you have a siddur in your jacket. So can you remove the siddur, or you have jacket hanging on a branch, and it's and can you remove something from the pocket? Okay, so it's double removed. Okay. So again, the Melachah of kotzer also applies to items that do not actually grow from the ground. So like classic example, something grow from the ground, the wheat or herbs, right? The original Melachah is connecting to, but here mushroom they not grow from ground. Even though you see they grow from the ground, but as we learned before, they actually get the nourishment from the air, not from the ground, from the air, but through the roots, right? The roots are needed to be stable. And many times I think the mushrooms grow from the tree, even on the farms, like they sell. What is it? Shiitake, for example. I think shiitake grow from the tree. Okay. Or other. Okay. Such as mushrooms, right? So meaning this mushroom attached to something that attached to the ground. So double removed, so people would not know the difference. So that's why, right? That's why it is forbidden according to rabbinic decree. According to biblical decree, only something that is growing from the ground. Okay. Right. So continue. Similar prohibition of katzer applies to removing moss. So moss is also grown on the stairs, under the stairs, all these things, all of this place on the metal, right? Right. So is it connected to the ground? No. But indirectly, it is connected to the ground. Okay, wet wood or rocks, all of these things. Okay, so again, it's forbidden under rabbinic decree. Next one, flower pots. An example of the Melachah of Zoreya, planting, page 231. So yeah, we were talking about planting. We said there are two kinds of pots. Flower pots with a hole and without the hole. Right. So perforated and not perforated. Right. Just 1 second. And the flower pot with no hole in the sides of the bottom. Right. So when just to remind us, quickly remind, there are two kinds of pots. One with a hole, one without the hole. One with the hole, like a classic example would be like you buy it from the store and they already drill the hole for you, like on the bottom. That's simple. Or sometimes it's on a side when you have like a big this planting pots for you want to grow, I don't know, cucumber or something on your porch, right? So then you buy the bigger one, and they have this big holes like for the excess of the water go out around. But we learn even if they have some cracks like unintentional cracks, it could happen accidentally. And how smaller the crack, the thin a root can go through. So it could be even on top. On top meaning where it's still soil. Right. So this already is we call as perforated pot. And this perforated pot, we said if it's above the ground. It's not standing on the ground, but even above the ground hanging. So it is said that it's connected to the ground through this hole. Again, the hole could be like tiny, that only roots can go through. Okay. So now we're going into details. Number one, perforated flower pot, plucking. A perforated flower pot, which is on the ground, outdoors, is considered attached to the ground. Therefore, the plucking something from it is equivalent to plucking fruit from the tree and constitute Melachah of Katzer on a biblical level. Okay. However, if the perforated pot stands on a glass or a stone or on a metal or iron plate, or it is separated from the earth below by the floor made of variety of materials, at least some of which is non-porous, it is not considered attached to the ground. Therefore, plucking something from it is only a rabbinical prohibition. Rabbinically prohibited, sorry. Rabbinically prohibited. So let's try to understand. So, I mean, of course, it sounds a little surprise for, for some of us, but that's, I mean, it is still prohibited. It is still prohibited, but on different decree. So again, on biblical level, it's prohibited something that is attached to the ground. So, and he said, so he started with the first kind of pot, the flower pot with a hole. So if it stands on the ground, right? So as we said, it's almost it is considered that it's attached to the ground, and if it's even hanging above the ground, so you have a balcony, you have these hooks, whatever they call, right? Where people hang out the flowers or something. So it's considered, and there is like a hole on the bottom. Considered they get nourishment from the ground, for sure. So this would be prohibited, like plucking something would be prohibited on a biblical level, right? On the biblical level. But we said if there is a separation, what is a separation? You have a floor. So if you have, for example, if you have wooden floor, so I have something in a summer house, right? Bungalow, something, right? You have only wooden floor and nothing can underneath, so it is still connected to the ground because wood is porous. But if you have something like a solid meaning you have a glass, right? Glass plate or ceramic plate, right? Or plastic is questionable. I think. I don't want to go into it. Let's put it aside. There is stone. Stone meaning you have a ceramic tile, for example. You have ceramic tiles, or you have stone floors, or some stone plate, or stone tabletop made of stone, possible, like a countertop. So even though there is a hole on the bottom, but since there is a separation of the stone or glass or this non-porous material, so it's considered to be detached from the ground. From the ground, literally from the ground. So if a person like plucks something from your flower pot, right, it is forbidden, but it's forbidden only on a rabbinical level. I don't want to sound like it's nothing, but it's not on the biblical level. So basically, the only difference, maybe the person is not going to get death penalty, and that's all. But still forbidden. Okay, so next case, moving a perforated flower pot. Right, moving a perforated flower pot that is on the ground, outdoors, to indoor is biblical violation Melachah of Kotzer. Since the flower pot resting on the ground, outdoors, is considered attached to the ground, removing it indoors, in effect uproots. Uproots without double quotes, but I would say double quote. I would add the double quotes here. It from the place of growth, and therefore violation Melachah of Kotzer. Okay, let's split it in a few parts. Okay, so now and we actually learned about it in different Melachah of planting, Zereya, right? So we learn about it, but now they give us different perspective. So again, so when you have flower pot and it's standing on the ground with a hole, right? When you take it and you want to bring it home, that's the problem. That's the problem. Where's the problem? It's like you're uprooting. It was in a sense connected to the ground, as we said, and you uproot, right? And you take it indoors. So example, I think in my mind, like it would be a good example. A person would not realize that you have a porch, right? You live in a private house, and have this wooden porch outside. And right, and under the porch is a ground, and you have table or whatever you have there, and right, and you have your pots, right, flower pots. So if there is a hole on the bottom, and nothing separates them from the wooden floor and the ground below, so they attach to the ground. So you cannot just take them home or move somewhere else, right? So because it's going to be uprooting. So and he says on the biblical level. Okay. The biblical level. So uprooting meaning a person is going to violate this Melachah of reaping. Kotzer, reaping. Okay, which is a problem. So I think that this is very practical. It's more. I mean, even though we cover these cases in another Melachah, but here we see that with one action, person may violate several melachas. So, and if it's a rabbinically prohibited melacha, a person would get several sets of lashes, right? Several sets of lashes for one action. Okay. Okay. So next one. raising a perforated flower pot from the ground into surface which is above the ground, but which does not block the hole in a pot, is not biblically prohibited, because the plant is still able to draw the sustenance from the ground below through the air. Nevertheless, doing so is rabbinically prohibited, because it decreases the amount of nourishment received from the ground. Okay, so those are separate cases. I want to do case by case. So next case is it's something that perforated pot was standing on the ground, and now we want to put it on a table. So let's say we have a wooden table, right? It's all on the ground. So you want to take it from the ground and put this flower pot on a wooden table, right? So meaning there's no separation. Our wood considered to be porous, so there is no problem, right? Still attachment to the ground. Still, it's going to be forbidden to do so. Why is it forbidden to do so? Because even though it's still attached to the ground, as we said before, you have this plant is getting nourishment from the air, but still it's not as strong as it was standing on the ground. I give you an example. Maybe you will understand this example. If you have Wi-Fi, right? So you have Wi-Fi. And in most of the house it's good, but in one room, behind the closet, it does not work, or almost does not work. Usually, you have Wi-Fi, a signal is strong. You have three bars, 4 bars, but in one place in the house you have only 1 bar. So meaning, if you want to search or something, most likely it's not going to work as good. So that's in a sense. So you're not completely removed from your Wi-Fi, right? But it's much weaker signal. So same, right? In a sense here, yes, it is. This plant is still attached to the ground. In a sense, it's still getting nourishment. But this nourishment is not as strong. That's why our rabbis said not allowed. And okay, so next, continue. Pushing a perforated pot along the ground outdoors. So again, it's not allowed because it's reaping. Okay, continue. Pushing a perforated flower pot along the ground outdoors is permitted because one is not decreasing the nourishment by doing so. Nevertheless, it may be forbidden to do so because the flower pot may be muktzah. See the muktzah practical guide, page 233, for when the flower pot is considered to be muktzah. We'll try to remember what it says here. Okay, let's see. Note: one must be careful not to make a furrow when pushing the pot, since making a furrow is violation of Melachah of Choreish, right? Plowing. It's a previous chapter. Okay, so let's stop here and try to understand what it says here. So now we're talking about pushing the flower pot along the ground. So technically, what he's trying to say, it's not like you lifting up. So if you lift up a little, even half an inch or 1 inch to 2 inches, whatever, above the ground, so it's like in a sense, as we said in the previous paragraph, so you separate it. So the connection is not as strong. Not big difference, but still there is a difference. Okay, so now he's saying, well, what about if I want just push across the yard? So there is always connection. Okay, very interesting idea. Right, so he said it is permitted because one does not decrease the nourishment in doing so. But I would say yes, technically there is no problem. But if there is a grass, there is a possibility that you can reap the grass while you're dragging. So especially if it's very heavy. So if it's light, something, nothing is going to happen, like the tiny flower pot. But the big one, heavy, like with the soil, yeah, can reap out something, grass for sure. Okay. Right. Nevertheless, it may be forbidden in a flower pot is a muktzah. When a flower pot is a muktzah. don't remember under what circumstances the flower pot is a muktzah. Okay, but there is some case. I thought about. I don't know. Don't remember. Okay, but continue. Note one must be careful not to make a furrow. So I mean, again, if it's very heavy, for sure you're going to make a furrow, and it's as we learned in the last chapter, right? Last chapter, it's plowing. So even nobody is going to put any seeds, but that's the first step of plowing. You make a furrow. Choresh. So now we're going to easy case. So what is easy case? Is a not perforated pot. One may remove a non-perforated pot from the outdoors, right? From outdoors to indoors, because the non-perforated pot never received the nourishment from the ground, right? Plug in something from a non-perforated flower pot is rabbinically prohibited. Okay. So again, and we had this issue. Some people heard some things without learning details, and they assume that they by their logic they can deduce things. And it was a case when it was a family fight. Unfortunately, some guys especially, they think that they learn it, and wife for sure because they never saw them with a book. For sure they did not know. Maybe she listened to a class. Maybe she attends it. How do you know? So the guy, as she told me. So he was the husband, right? So about the husband. So he was yelling at her, and because she's trying to start moving the vase with the flowers, right? And he said it's not allowed. There's a muktzah, this and that. There is right. He said all the long words that he does not understand what's going on, right? And it was, I think, she said there were guests, maybe some relatives. It was very, very embarrassing, and she did not know what to do, right? But if you, I said, there is no problem. First of all, they're not attached to the ground. They're nothing. They live in, I think in apartment building. You have all of these floors made of cement, for sure. For sure, there's separation. Even if it would be earthware, flower pot with a hole, still there is a problem because there is floors in between, and plus it was in the vase, and plus it was detached from the ground to begin with. So technically there is no problem, right? But people learn or heard some things, and they decide that they know the rest of the halacha. Okay. So again, one may remove non-perforated flower pot from the outdoors indoors. So you left it there on the fresh air during the night, and then you know that it's going to be strong sun. So not from the sun, but before that the sun is shining on this pot, you can bring it home. So when the sun shines directly on a plant, it's too late. You are not allowed to move it. Right? We learned that there's it's called from sun to shade, not allowed. But if you do it before, there is no problem. Again, when there is no hole in the ground. So again, it was never attached to the ground. No problem. So as we said, it's simple. Continue and plug in something from a non-perforated flower pot, rabbinically prohibited. Okay. So right, rabbinically prohibited. Oh, okay. Right. So of course it's not recommended, not rabbinically prohibited, but just in case when somebody in your family is doing something, and you're not 100%, it's a biblical, rabbinical, and there are other people, and person can get embarrassed. So it's proper to do nicely and say, no, leave it, please, let it be there. I want to ask you a question. Please, can I get you to sound like a involved person in a conversation? Don't embarrass anybody, even if you know it is not allowed, unless you know it's biblical violation. So also you can say nicely, right? Okay. So next one is subsection C, dried out trees. Right. So again, I think I said a few times, but it's very, very important. If you're one of this person that like plucks the leaves while they walking from the bushes or from the trees, be careful. Like it's time to stop this habit, very bad habit, because it's only a matter of time when you do it on Shabbos, right? Especially on Shabbos when you're walking on a holiday, you're a little bored. I mean, why? Because on regular days you can listen to the lectures, right? So you concentrate on the lectures, you're on your target, but on Shabbos you're not going to listen to the lectures. So like automatically you look for something to do while you're walking. Especially people live further away, right, from the shul. All right. So continue. Dried out trees. So and plus dried out trees problem. Trees, bushes. According to some authorities, the biblical prohibition of koitzeir applies even to completely dried out trees. Some authorities disagree and rule that the breaking off something from a completely dried out tree is rabbinically prohibited. If, however, the fruit dried out, but the fruit branches did not, all authorities agree that it is biblically prohibited to pick the fruit of the tree. Let's try to understand. So dried out trees, I'm not 100% sure why some authorities say it's biblically prohibited. Because if it's dried out, so meaning it does not get any nourishment from the ground, nothing. So I'm not sure. Other authorities, like it's very clear why they forbid, but on a rabbinical decree, because it looks like so if you see somebody, let's say a religious person, breaks something like a piece of the branch from the tree, right? From the tree, from a dry tree. So a person who does not know, he would say, yeah, maybe it is allowed from other trees as well. So he does not know the Melachah. Okay, so the reason I am stumbling, I'm going to tell you, somebody left us a message. The guy is watching our channel, not English channel, another channel, for some time, maybe 2 years, maybe from the beginning, since we moved, maybe an old channel, I don't know, like sometime. And he leave messages, based on the message. I understand person is shy and he's maybe religious, maybe semi-religious, I don't know. But all messages were okay until 2 days ago. So he's asking, Rabbi, please tell me, is it allowed to travel across the town on Shabbos if somebody invites you over? I said, to travel over, the whole language, like there's something like fishing. So in my mind, how my mind works, I'm going to tell you. So if you're asking, is it okay to travel, to walk, right? For example, if you when we were talking about carrying things, right? We said if it's in your town, and it's you can go until the boundary, and from the boundary you have 2,000 hours. So meaning if you live in a big town, right? Like for example, New York City. So from one neighborhood to another neighborhood, from one end to another, you can walk. I don't know how long, maybe 5 hours, 7 hours, I don't know, many hours, right? So is it advisable to walk even 3 hours to get to somebody's house, spend 3 hours and 3 hours back? I would say not. Does not make sense, right? That's what I thought. And then I decided to ask, what do you mean travel? Travel by car, by bus? And guess what? Lucky me, he said, yes, there is a Jewish family across the town on another side, and they can drive to pick me up, to go to them for a Shabbos meal, or they even can send a car to pick me up, right? So of course I told them, a person who drives on Shabbos is 100% going, stuff like that. but you see people, and the person said that I did not answer his last comment. Was very busy, but basically, person said, but I was considered them very religious family and knowledgeable, and this knowledgeable and very religious family is asking if they can they want to have this guy family. I don't know. I think he's married. I don't remember, but if they can drive on Shabbos. So what is the connection? Same is here. So if you're allowed to break off this dry branch, right, of the tree of the bush, so people like from the onlookers would decide that you can break off the branches, even not dry. You understand? Which is I don't know right how he had these doubts, but I think because this notion that this family is religious, I mean, in his eyes. Right, I don't know anything about. I don't know where he lives in what city. I don't know, but he thinks that they're religious, and they ask him. They wanted to see him and his family on Shabbos driving. Very, very sad story. Okay, so continue, but it's not sad. But Baruch Hashem that he asked the question. He got an answer. BeEzrat Hashem, I'm going to reply to him. Okay, so continue. Next part, removing growing items from the water. I think somebody asked this question. It is forbidden to remove beans. I think it was somebody a long time ago. Beans seeds or the like from the water if they have sprouted roots in it. Right, removing them is considered a katseir because they've been detached from the source of the growth. Therefore, one may not remove the arava stalks that has sprouted roots in the water from its ways. Okay, so let's try to understand. So removing growing items from the water, right? This will be. I think it does not say, but. No, yeah, it's the whole section is rabbinically forbidden, right. No, it does say so. I mean, the whole title is rabbinically forbidden. So, meaning if something is grown in the water, they have roots in the water, so you cannot remove them. You cannot remove these things. Okay, so in a sense, person detaching from the source of growth. So arava, I've never seen arava taking roots. I mean, it's like somehow the arava, even if you put the water, it's going to dry very soon. So you have to replace them a few times, at least once. I replace only once. Okay, but still, you have to replace once. Arava is willow, right? Arava is willow. Willow that we use on sukkahs. Right, we have to take for species, and this is one of them. So on Yom Tov, of course, we're allowed to shake lulav and esrog. On Shabbos we don't, so I'm not sure why. I mean, this is laws of Shabbos, so I think it would be muktzah as it is, right? Because it was designated for a mitzvah. So meaning, and today on Shabbos we don't take it. We don't take these sets into our hands. So in a sense, it is a muktzah. Okay, but still a good example. So let me quickly check time. 1 second. Okay, so let's do a little further. We're not going to finish it. It's a long story, but a little further. And it says, we start in the next section, number 8. Activities prohibited because they may lead to reaping. Okay, so that's... Oh, I said that we learned it. I apologize today. We did not learn it. About using of the tree. I was confused. I thought to myself, what Melachah is it? Okay, so it's actually in this chapter, right? In this chapter. Okay. So very, very interesting chapter. Very, very interesting. This part is okay. So again, activities prohibited because they may lead to reaping. Introduction. as a safeguard against the possibility of a person transgressing Melachah of Kotzeira, being reaping. For example, plucking fruit, right? We learned before, plucking fruit, tearing off leaves, okay, breaking of branches on Shabbos. The sages prohibited various activities that may lead to the Melachah of Kotzeira. The activities are, so before we go, again, our sages, they created, they were commanded by HaShem in His holy Torah, so they protect us from committing a sin. How they did all of the sin one step removed. So they say don't do this, so in order not to come close to the sin, right? And plucking fruit, of course. So we say, as we explained before, I think we say that the fruit would be muktzah, and not allowed to touch it. Tearing of leaves. Right, so example was we said we don't ride a horse, right? Breaking of branches, okay, on Shabbos. Okay, so now activities. Number 1, climbing the tree. Right, and one person said asked me a question very long time ago. So it was in like a bungalow colony, and it was. One boy, right? So he climbed the tree, and it was Shabbos, and somehow he decided to stay there, or they were playing hide and seek. I don't know whatever was it, and Shabbos came. Parents were busy, so some like Chacham told him, like this another teenage boy, right? So he said, you're not allowed to climb down until you have no other choice. Right, and technically, if you think about it, so this person checked with me. I said, technically, he's right. Like technically, right? Unless the person needs this boy or whoever is stuck on a tree on Shabbos, right? They need to go to the bathroom, right? We allowed him to climb down, but otherwise he should stay there as a punishment. Of course, he's a kid. All the things do not apply to him like as much as to adults, but it was so this guy that asked me, he was surprised. They say this guy was teenage. This was wishing. I say no, it's actually halacha. It's actually halacha, right? Like a punishment. So if you climb up the tree, just stay there until the end of the Shabbos. So that's very practical, right? So number 1, climbing a tree. Number 2, leaning on a tree, right? Number 3, place an object on a tree. So you want to put your jacket. So we're talking about over your backyard. It's not like you're carrying, like it's not. Right, it's your backyard. You have fence. Very important. Some backyards, like some backyards, if you live in the suburbs, do not have fence. Right, they facing the forest or something. Right. So in this case, you're not allowed to carry that. Yeah, it's your backyard, your territory. I understand, but unless you build the fence, you make this area, you're not allowed to carry that. Right, so I advise somebody asked me, they started explaining, I said, I know what you're going to say, but if you want to eat outside, and it's nice in the summer to eat outside in your yard, I understand, there's no question about it. I said, build a small fence, not the whole, like smaller fence, create area and that, and then you will be able to carry, to put a table there, chairs, and you can bring food from the house and eat there. But otherwise, there is a problem. If you don't create eruv or a fence is an eruv, so would be prohibited. Okay, so again, placing the object on a tree. Number 4, remove the object from the tree. Number 5, shaking a tree. Right, shaking a tree is a problem. Number 6, smelling a fruit. Smelling fruits, as we understand, attached to the thing, to the tree. Number 7, riding an animal, right? As we said. Number 8, touching plants. But touching wire, you might pluck a leaf. Number 9, moving fruit that fell from the tree on Shabbos. So this is going to be muktzah. Okay, so let's see. So I'm not going to repeat that because we're going to go into all of these categories, separately. Right. And it says, sages feared that if one is permitted to engage in one of the above activities, one would come to transgression Melachah of Katseir, meaning reaping. So meaning, as we said, sages build us the fence not to come close to the violation. Therefore, therefore they prohibited these activities. These activities are collectively referred to using a tree. Okay. Using a tree. So it's like a halakhic term, using a tree. The specific of each of these prohibited activity will be explained below. BeEzrat HaShem. So I think we can stop here because the next one is very long. Okay, so let's stop here. So we did an introduction, and next time, BeEzrat HaShem, we're going to start going to in detail. So it's very, very interesting, very practical. I mean, especially if somebody is living in the suburbs and they're in a private house, they have like backyard. Somebody who live in the city, maybe not so applicable, but still some people, I don't know why, but some people like to, when they talk to somebody, they like to lean on something. I don't know, like it's ridiculous. I remember talking to a person, and he would come to a partner, and he would live on the wall. And then we went to another room, and he lived in another room, like a young person. It's not like he has a crutches or something, but that's how people behave, right? And so we will see, like if somebody outside and a person wants to talk to somebody. So it depends on what tree. So if it's like old, like a thick tree that is not going to be moved, maybe it would be allowed. And you have branches only like up high, right? So maybe it's not a problem. But like young tree, like yeah, if it's going to move or when you lean, that's a problem. Okay, very practical. So let's take 5 minutes break, and we continue with other topics. 5 minutes.